All right. We are here for a webinar. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes to join in, and then we'll get started.
It looks a little bit like we have a very punctual group of people here. Welcome, everybody. We're going to give everybody a few more minutes to join in and uh, have their morning coffee before we dive into the full webinar. I'll lead by example.
Different strokes for different folks.
Uh-huh. That's one of my last bad addictions. Diet Coke.
Diet Coke before 10 a.m. There are worse ones.
Uh-huh.
Just a nurse is asking, what coffee are we sipping? I'm a Onyx diehard.
This one is from Airship because their canister program is a sweet deal for the office. So we go get a new Airship blend every week or so.
And we
And
know we
Ram
know what's in Ramsay's
Yeah.
can.
Ramsay's got a fridge cigarette.
Where are you, Andrew?
I'm in Bentonville, Arkansas, so I'm at the
No,
lives.
you're in your office there or just
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. This is the LIVSN headquarters. So while we wait for people, we can get a little bit of a view of where I'm sitting. So here's our office, and then up
Uh-huh.
there through those stairs is our retail store,
Are
flagship
y'all
headquarters.
open this weekend?
We are, and it's actually new news. So if anybody here is from our local Northwest Arkansas area or wants to come join us for a weekend, we just started doing Sunday hours.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
When are your Sunday hours? I may come by.
Same as Saturday and every other day, so 10 to 6. At this point,
Okay.
we're open Monday to Sunday, or sorry, Wednesday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Uh-huh. Well, I'll plan on coming by Sunday.
Awesome.
Cool. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Think so.
All right, let's do it. Welcome everybody. Yes, good job. Everyone who's registered was very punctual. So welcome to our webinar. We're going to talk a little bit about WeFunder and answer any questions, both questions that were submitted before and throughout. If y'all have questions, you can drop them in the chat and we'll come back to those toward the end. Get some intros started. I'm Abby Hollis. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for LIVSN, and today I'm your webinar tech, webinar IT. Today our conversation is going to be with Andrew and Ramsay Ball. Andrew, of course, is founder and CEO of LIVSN, and Ramsay Ball is a longtime investor of LIVSN and a local investor of over 50 different early stage companies. He really focuses his investments on finding the balance between impact and profit, and is very community oriented and involved in just about every local organization that you can think of. Ramsay is also the representative for the WeFunder investors for LIVSN, so he speaks on behalf of all the folks who invest in WeFunder to LIVSN. So I'm gonna hand it over to them to do some Q&A between one another, and yep, then we'll come back to y'all's questions toward the end.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. And
Yeah.
thanks everybody for joining. And we hope to make this informative and something you get value out of and answer some questions. So once again, just make sure to drop those in the chat along the way. We've got a few that were submitted beforehand, and then I've got a few questions to ask Ramsay, but really we're going to let Ramsay ask questions as it was As Abby said, Ramsay's our investor representative for all the WeFunder shareholders. That means that if you've made an investment, even in the past campaign or in this one, or if you're considering it, Ramsay here is the person who is the manager on that group of investments, that SPV, and is the representative for you. So, good chance to get to know Ramsay, ask him questions, good chance to kind of see where he looks at things, and we'll go from there. But first question I have for you, Ramsay, is what made you initially decide to invest in LIVSN way back in 2018? And how have you felt about that, or what feelings have changed since then?
So, really, I got to know you in, I think, 2016, and you were at Fayetteville and framing out what you were thinking about doing. So I had the benefit of a couple of years of working on that in CEO Forum and some other places. And so when the decision to invest was because of that knowledge of working with you and your ethos and your thought process. I had the luxury of being able to experience, a lot of this from very early on. So came along with you, and it was a very easy decision to move forward because I had known you for a period of time and listened to you process what you wanted to achieve. And so for me, it just hit a number of chords. Okay. Um, Impact investment for me. Um, it's an impact on our community. Okay. To grow the company here. Really like that. Impact from sustainability. That really resonated with me. Okay. And the fact that you could have sustainable clothing, the fast fashion stuff, gearing up, and we saw a lot of that. I'm not a fan. I love classic, authentic, uh, you know, things to wear. Um, but really, when I look at, I've developed this over the years. When I look at companies, you have product, and there are a lot of apparel companies out there, and you have the market and competition. But I always, I say I bet on jockeys. Okay, I bet on teams, and so this was an easy bet for me. Okay, and so I invested in the company and the people there. Okay, that's what I invest in. And it takes the right people to make the right moves. Okay. If you just keep going down a path, and you don't look at the market, you don't listen to your customers, then you sail right off the edge of the cliff. Okay. And so it's all about knowing when to to tack, to change direction. There's not a young company that I deal with that doesn't need to change or will change. And so it's about navigating uh, waters for me. And so LIVSN has been navigating waters very well for a long time.
Yeah, and I appreciate all that. And in a minute, I'm going to give you a chance to ask me the hard questions. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that's
What
going
are
to
the
be fun.
waters?
But
What are the waters like now? You
that's
know,
a good question. I mean, like,
choppy.
yeah, and this is, we can kind of back and forth on this one because that was back in 2018, and
Yeah.
we knew each other a few years before that. Since then, you've made multiple further investments
Yes.
periodically over the years. You have made introductions to other families and offices and investors that have put money in, and you've co-invested alongside them. I think every single time.
Hmm.
So the waters are different, right? The whole world
Hmm.
has been through
Hmm.
um, quite a bit of change since
Hmm.
2018. And so I think we've had a less than normal operating environment essentially since we started uh, the company. And so, yeah, I mean, notably, the very first thing we went from just Kickstarter funded revenue and products in 2018 and 2019 to going to the real market out with
Hmm.
e-commerce and wholesale in 2020. And the same year we did that, the whole world shut down for COVID. And we had
Mm-hmm.
some decision points at that point. And luckily and because of good support, we made decisions to keep going forward through that. It
Mm-hmm.
ended up being right that year. Everybody went outside and we had an outdoor product in stock, and we were able to kind of really ride that COVID outdoor related boom for a couple of years and grow with it. But then obviously, if anybody knows the outdoor industry or the consumer goods industry in general, that took a pause and then a pretty big slide as people went back to work and the world changed again. Um, as we went past that, things normalized for a while, or didn't, depending on what industry you're in. But at least in apparel, the market normalized, and then we've had some other disruptions like tariffs and other things, kind of world events that are throwing curveballs into supply chain. So I would say that we are in a good spot, but because we've been able to stay nimble. And I think because we've grown the company and continued to exist and push forward through so many different curveballs and macroeconomic events and world events, we're very nimble. Not much surprises us. Um, Not many things come out and make us go, "Oh, damn, that's gonna kill us." We're like, "Okay, it's another one of those." How did we navigate it last time? How do we navigate this time? And I'll say that having the backing of you and a lot of our other investors and partners and business partners and retailers and our customer support has really been the reason why we've been able to navigate those things as well as we and have been able to survive by, whatever you want to call it, this goodwill, um, community support, or other backing has kept us going when it's felt too hard to go. And for that, we're very thankful. And so I'll kind of put that back to you and say, you've seen a lot of early stage companies. You've made a lot of investments during this time. You've invested in many different verticals that have gone through some of these similar world events. What have you seen in LIVSN compared to others that you've evaluated through this last 8 years?
Some of the same things I talked about early on. The fact that LIVSN continues to move forward in so many ways. The B Corp move. I really like that. Um, and the integrity and the honesty of the company, and it reflects for me in the things that you make. Okay. And so, um, y'all are steady, you're nimble. Well, I say steady. Uh, you're nimble, as steady as a nimble person can be, nimble company. And so, the, it's for me, it still gets back to the impact too of the company in sustainability and community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And for the benefit of the audience here who may not know, what he's referring to is we took the company through certifying as a B Corp. And what that means is that we hold ourselves to a higher standard of
Mhm.
responsibility, and we take into account not just profit, but the people and um, the planet along the way. And so that's a third party verification by a group called B Lab that is very rigorous. But ultimately, it asks the right questions and probes in the right areas to prove that you walk the walk on being a responsible business. And so we voluntarily did that. No one was asking us to or forcing us to, but we felt like it was the right thing to do. And it was a legitimizing and encouraging and also guiding certification
Mhm.
to get, because not only do you get certified when you do it, you have to keep that certification up and you have to show improvement over the years. And so
Mhm.
maybe some companies would say, I don't want that. We want that. We're out here saying we're building something of value. We're building a company for the long term. We're building products that have a right to exist and last a long time. We want the added pressure of saying,
Mhm.
y'all back that up. Right. And so that forces us to be a better company. And as I talk to other founders about it, and especially investors, I say, was that a lot of work? I said, building a company is a lot of work. Honestly, everything that we had to do to become certified was just being a better company, just best practices and implemented across the way. And it's led to pretty awesome results internally and externally for us.
So I see that as a key pillar for the company. And so the pillars and the bedrock for the company get stronger and stronger. And when you have those kind of foundations, it's authentic, it's real. And so there's so many companies out there that talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. Okay. And they'll talk about how great they are, the principles they follow, but it's just marketing. Okay. It has to be honest and authentic. And I know that from working with the company and investing in it, that it's real. And so that's a big plus for me. But I want to ask, shift into some of the changes that have been made, okay, and the core strategy now for what's going on with LIVSN.
Yeah. So a lot of our investors or everybody on this call, in theory, should be able to have access to our Wefunder updates and our stakeholder updates that we send out, roughly quarterly, but sometimes more or less than that over the last 18 months. And so if you're not, go ahead and ask how to get that. We can make sure you're on there. But if you are, you followed along with us as we've had both ups and downs over the course of the recent history of the business. I'll summarize that in the sense that in 2025, we took a very, very hard look at the company and said, the market's changed, the world has changed. What else has changed, right? Where are our dollars coming from? Where are we winning in the market? Where are we struggling as a company? Where are we winning? What's our team look like? And we had to make some very real changes over the course of late 25 and into first quarter of this year, where we decided the best course of action for us was to double down and focus on what brought us to this point where we have a right to win and where we have traction. And if you kind of rewind the clock back to 2018, we launched our first two products. It was the Flex Canvas pants and the High Wool Fleece. High Wool Fleece is kind of an artifact at this point, right? Very quickly, the market said, yeah, they're great. They're really cool pieces. But the market said, this fleece is great. It's cool design, but like these pants, that's what we're into. So we were selling out of pants and pre-selling more pants that we didn't even have yet before we'd sold through those fleeces. And when we went into wholesale and retail and when we started getting attention from the press, it was our pants. It was our Flex Canvas pants and our Eco Truck pants that was doing that for us. And even as recently as last year in 2025, we saw that 85% of our revenue and slightly more of our margin was coming from men's bottoms. And to us, we classify that as pants, makes up the majority, but shorts and overalls, so kind of go a little less material, a little more, but still primarily in that bottoms category was where we're winning. And more customers are looking for that. They're not going out and saying, here's a brand I love, I'm going to buy head to toe what they make. They start their search online or with a friend at a retailer and they say, who makes the best this, right? Whether it be a puffy jacket, rain jacket, or pants. Our idea is to be the best pants for out doing stuff outside, right? To say it in a very plain way. We have our Flex Canvas pants, we've got our Eco Truck pants, and this year we even launched our Crux pants that are even more technical, a little looser, different silhouette and fit for where we're going. And seeing some questions come through, so thank you for that. So we are laser focused on that. We feel like there's headroom there. Also, last year we were really growing and focusing on growing our retail distribution and wholesale. And while we did, we saw some indicators for this year, mainly macro focused, saw that growth was probably going to level out. And while we took some gas off of e-commerce last year, that gives us a lot of opportunity in 2026 to fund growth within the DTC, online e-commerce part of the business. So said shortly, our strategy is to focus on what our core products are: men's bottoms, focus our dollars and energy and growing revenue on our online channel and not force growth into a wholesale channel. Rather keep quality over quantity there and grow with who brought us in that area too. And then from a team base, have a very efficient, tight and focused team focused on those two pillars for the company. And that's a big change, and you may ask, what's the difference? I think we did expand very fast before into a lot of different categories, and we maybe weren't prepared to support all of those things, right? So there's a lot of companies similar to us that have gotten to where we are and significantly further on a very limited product category by following more of an e-commerce focused strategy. And that's what we're looking to do at this point.
Well, I know that you know, one of the things that really, resonated with me with the flex canvas pants when they came out first. Okay, the first version, and I've been a champion of those because they are the best pants in the world. And they're not just for outdoor. You can wear them. I wear them. Hell, I wear them to church. But or funeral. And but but and sustainability is a big key. But recently, I lost a lot of weight because I got on my GLP, okay, kind of stuff, Zepbound. And then I've had to come back and buy more pants. I've kind of retired my old ones for now, okay. And so, um, and so I've got to think that oh, yeah, that's what size are
Our
those,
store,
Andrew?
our retail and customer experience manager here, Aaron, brought these over. The autofocus is going to mess it up, but these are Ramsay's pants, his original V1 flex canvas pants from back in the day that he estimates about 1,000 wears on. And so once he went on his weight loss journey, he donated these back to us, and these have been through our
Wow.
repair program twice, as you can see, and been armored. So they're now an artifact.
Yeah, it's on loan back to LIVSN for now, but hopefully I won't gain it back. But so surely, when you see all the weight loss going on, it's been huge in the U.S. Um, that and people seem to be more active now.
Mhm.
How does that play into what you see in the market? For
Yeah,
for,
there's an
for
upside
LIVSN.
there potentially that I was reading about where there's potentially I'm gonna this number is someone to fact check it, but there's potentially like a 15+ billion-dollar upward impact on the apparel market from the introduction of GLP-1 drugs. And so I don't think that we're banking on that from a company perspective as our
Sure.
strategy to grow, right? We have our own levers we could pull to grow this year and next that are more in our control, but it is projected to affect more of the outdoor and active wear market as people are losing weight and looking to lead a more active lifestyle as a result of that. There's kind of a wardrobe turnover that's happening. And for
Mhm.
our customers, something we've done from a values perspective, which is to give people a platform to sell their old LIVSN. So while you donated yours or they're on loan, for our museum here, our customers have a program. We call it Lived In, which is LIVSN, but uh, it's our name for both our resale platform where someone can go onto livesn.com, go buy and sell used, and they can actually list their old clothing and say, you shrunk in the clothing stayed the same. You can give it to somebody else and let them take that piece on a new
Uh-huh.
journey and save it from the landfill or save it from the back of your closet, which
Mhm.
will eventually end up in the landfill. And then lived in also means our repair program. So you can also take your products that maybe you've worn for years and loved and kind of wore a little thin, have them repaired and up armored to give them a whole new life. So we're well positioned for that shift in clothing buying patterns.
Man, I see a lot of questions coming in, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you want to go through some of these.
Yeah, I think so. Let's get some of the audience involved. I think Abby's gonna MC that for us.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so our first question from the audience is from Megan, and Megan asks, what do you want from your customers, investors slash community that might differ from your traditional VCs?
Yeah, really good question. I mean, that hits on probably the coolest and most interesting part of running on WeFunder and doing a community round is that anybody can invest. And you've taken this asset class, which is a really interesting way to describe LIVSN, right? But this like investment that is typically only reserved for venture capitalists and very wealthy people, accredited investors, and say, this is open for everybody now. We're democratizing this. And so what that does for us as a company is we have high net worth individual investors. We have some family office and traditional structured investments. But we also have this growing chunk of our customers and our friends and our family and our community that are owners and shareholders in LIVSN, represented by Ramsay. You're probably your best person to represent the community that have a say in where we go. And so what we ask from our WeFunder investors is to care, is to be vocal and outspoken. Let us know what you think of our products, make suggestions, because our incentives are aligned. So as opposed to a traditional investment where it may just be a bunch of wealthy people behind a company creating value for that wealthy people, right? We're also creating value for our customers and our community. And so we're equalizing this, we're leveling this field. And I like to say that LIVSN is somewhere between a private company, a co-op, and a publicly traded company, right? As going through WeFunder, we've had to file pretty robust transparency documents with the SEC, like a mini IPO, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have customer shareholders, more like a co-op, and we've got traditional investors on the cap table, and I think that's a benefit to us. That kind of push pull, that levelizing of incentives, and that alignment between our customers and the company's success gives us power over time, and we're just now seeing the benefit and the strength of that community as we go. It's really cool. We get people coming through our store every day saying, "Hey, I'm a shareholder," and where's my shareholder discount, which we should probably talk about. But it's awesome, and I think the ask we have, right, not just why it's cool or why it's interesting or why it's a good investment, is that you share that, because you're not only a customer and a community member, but you're a shareholder. When we win, you win. Eventually, when we have an exit, you're going to get a piece of that cut, right? And so we want you to feel motivated to share LIVSN with everybody to be proud of it, to share what we do, not only our products, but like things like certifying as a B Corp and being involved in our community. Celebrate that. You have a piece of play in it. You have a part of why we were able to do this. So share.
Awesome. And Andrew, maybe Ramsay as well, could y'all speak a little to how the voices of your WeFunder community are heard sort of via Ramsay and what that looks like?
Yeah. And Ramsay, feel free to chime in, but the most direct path you have to us as a company comes through WeFunder's messaging system. So you can always go on there and say, send a message to LIVSN, make a comment on one of our updates. Everybody on our shareholder list for LIVSN also is on our stakeholder email list, which comes directly from my inbox, right? So when I send those emails, you can reply directly to me and go straight. And then you can also ask questions through Ramsay or make comments through Ramsay, who's easily available through the platform as well, and he can pass those on to us.
Cool. We've also had a couple questions, and you just mentioned it about perks for WeFunder investors. What does that look like, other than of course the typical perks of investment, which maybe you could touch on those as well.
Sure. There are multiple people who have invested in our first WeFunder and have since reinvested in the second one, and they've astutely pointed out that the perks changed a little bit. So basically, the way we're treating that is the best perk, is the one that if you invested in both, you're going to get the best offer, right? Depending on your investment tier. But almost every investment comes with some sort of perk, usually in the form of a discount. Some of our discounts are for 1 year from investment, some are for 2 years, some are for life, depending on your total. And the way to go about using those is we're going to be, after we close the campaign, which happens here in a matter of weeks, we're going to be sending out those codes to you. If you're having any issue finding the code from the first campaign or any sort of technical issue, customer service at livsndesign.com. Aaron, who just handed me the pants, will be very happy to answer your email or phone call and give you that code so you can get shopping. And as far as you asked about traditional investment perks, right? You typically would expect to have some sort of insider access from any investment you make into a company, which is really that kind of discount. But also, the ultimate goal here, and our ultimate goal, is to do what we do so well, make the best clothing we possibly can, make it as responsible as we can at a premium kind of side of the market, so that we get acquired one day. Now, that can be seen as a bad word, depending on who you're talking to, acquisition, kind of, because that everybody's kind of seen a certain pattern that can happen to a brand. What we're doing is by honoring our product quality, honoring our customer, and being a good member of our community, certifying as a B Corp, and putting our money where our mouth is, we are self-selecting a partner that will acquire us because we do those things so well. There's a growing group of impact investors. There's a growing group of brands, and there's a growing group of people interested in putting their dollars to work in a way that benefit both the people, planet, and profit. And we are self-selecting and operating our way towards a values aligned acquisition at some point in the future. And that's kind of where this investment pays off for everybody.
Great. This is sort of related to that, or maybe the path to that. But another question we have is, if everything goes right, what does LIVSN look like 10 years from now?
Ooh, that's a good question. So our vision for this, our big kind of scary goal here is that we have proven that there's a new model to do business, that it's not just about making something new, selling it to a customer as many times as you can. That in 10 years, LIVSN was a part of changing society's perceptions of buying things from disposable to durable. That our P&L looks more like a car company's, right? So you've got new vehicle sales, you've got used vehicle sales, and you've got service, right? So think about that from any consumer goods company, any brand you've talked to. Right now, we have kind of a take, make, waste model that doesn't help anybody. Our goal is that we've helped change that. And we've proven from a business model perspective that you can make something new that is high quality and customers care about that, but that you can also make meaningful profit from circular systems and stewardship systems where we're keeping those things out of the landfill longer, and we're actually servicing those products and making that a profit center for the business as well. So that these things that can be seen as expense lines and as a P&L, all of a sudden that need to be minimized, all of a sudden are seen as profit centers that need to be maximized, and that helps everybody.
Nice. We've got a question asking, will you explain how Wefunder works to a Wefunder newbie?
Of course. It's basically every investment through Wefunder is the same as an outside investment. So currently we're running a convertible note. I don't want to get too into the weeds. Like it's something that there's lots of information online about how a convertible note works, but essentially we're raising money that that should be invested with the intent to convert to equity. The reason why it's convertible note is it keeps things very clear for people. It keeps legal expenses low. It's a really understood investment vehicle. So there's lots of research that could be done there and clarifying questions that are probably come people more qualified than myself to answer. The Wefunder part of that is Wefunder acts as a middleman that protects the average individual investor who may not be experienced in this process, i.e. not an accredited investor, not a high net worth individual or investment office, from fraud or exploitation. So that's why this whole thing exists. That's why we are overly transparent on Wefunder, and we file disclosures of finances and risks and everything we know about the business, including related party transactions. All of that stuff is to say this company has been vetted, not only by Wefunder, but also by the U.S. Legal system to say that they are a real company, that LIVSN's not going to just take your money and run, and Wefunder facilitates that process. So they also make it nice. You register on there. They do some verification. It holds your investment documents. You can pop in and say, what's my investment worth today? What was the last update from the company? It's this really nice tool that helps you stay up to speed, because 3 years down the line, you may not remember what my email address is. You may have closed down the account that gets your stakeholder updates because you changed your job. Wefunder is always going to be there for you to log on and say, here's your investment, here's the status, here's how to find out more. Makes it easy.
Yeah, it's a great platform, and I encourage everyone to go to the LIVSN Wefunder page. Wonderful information in it, and some of it's maybe more detail than a lot of folks need, but it's a great vehicle for investments, and particularly for for those that, are not putting 50, 100,000 in the company. Okay. We want it to be, we talked about democratizing it. So folks can make investments at almost any level. What's a minimum on it? I don't like to talk about minimums, but let's hear it.
Uh, $100. And that's
Yeah.
one of the coolest thing that WeFunder does is you can put $100 into this company.
Yeah.
I think it's cool because I put like $200 of my money into two different companies that I know. And like my little strategy, if you call it that, is to put $2,000 investments to work over the course of several years. So I have my small portfolio of friends and collaborative brands that we work with that can turn out. It's a cool bet one day.
Mhm.
Megan in the comments is noting that in order to get the discount, it's 250, and I think the next tier up you get a hat. So
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely pull up those that perk levels. It does get better as you raise your investment, right? So
Mhm.
very cool. Okay, we've got a fun product question. So what products do you expect to release in the next few years, and how do you decide what to make?
ooh, really good question. One that probably gets some of our team's ears perked up as we had this conversation a lot. Um, I will say that it's very important to us from a values perspective. And if you follow LIVSN long enough, this is not new information that we overly scrutinize the products that we release. We feel very strongly that when we release something, it should have a right to exist, that it should be a good product that has a function in the market that's not being served elsewhere. And so, with that, as we go over the next couple of years, we are focused on fulfilling more of the opportunity within our men's and even women's pants and bottoms and shorts category. Right now, we're fairly limited, I think, admittedly, on fit. Right. So if someone comes in and they like the way that our pants fit and they fit their style, we're going to get that customer more often than not. But if they have a different preference, either baggier or some different construction or different material sets, we're not going to be able to service that customer. And so we believe that we have a lot of headroom within the category that we're strongest in right now by developing um, more fits across the board. We're looking at three right now, and then being more innovative and nimble with materials within those fits and use case, so that we have the product that will service the customer, serve the customer in the various different needs of their life. We're outdoor focused. We want all of our products all the time to be able to be used in an outdoor setting. But as Ramsay mentioned, it's also important to us that you can wear them to work, to church, to a funeral, whatever your vibe is. But be able to have less stuff. Like our goal is for our customers to be able to buy our products and eventually buy less other stuff, right? And it's worth saying, like our tagline and what we've said for years is own less, live more. And the hard question I get that no one's asked today is like, how do you build a business by telling people to buy less? And what I say is, look, we don't want them to buy less from us necessarily. We want them to buy less from everybody else, right? We want to make products so good that they buy one pair of pants from us, they keep it for years, but then they realize that they need a shirt, like maybe a lightweight summer shirt for going on the river, creek shirt. They trust us. They know that we have built this product through our lens of durability and versatility and repair and resale. And they're going to say, I'm going to go to LIVSN for that. So we welcome more and more sales from people coming to us because we believe that for every pair of pants we sell, maybe three aren't going to get made.
Yeah, my favorite are hearing it's usually somebody gets a pair of LIVSN pants as a gift, think of the archetype of somebody who buys the same pant over and over and wears it out over 2 months, and then they get LIVSN for Christmas and they're like, oh shoot, now I have this pair of pants and my Costco pants don't compare, and they like start to get that cost per use thing. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
panelist. I just couldn't help myself. That's my favorite.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
share this. I mean, I I send lives in pants to people as gifts, okay, because I believe in them and people love them, okay, and so that's buy them for yourself and buy them for others, if and so I see that as an avenue for growth too for the company, I mean, I'm a believer. I mean, I think they're the best pants in the world. I always have. And so I like to let other people share that with other folks. And um, so just there is, you can always give LIVSN pants to people. Sometimes it's tricky to get their waist size and inseam. Yeah, some people don't want to reveal that, um, but yeah, it's something that I like to spread the word. Okay, on it.
Well, we appreciate that. And we didn't even pay him to say that, everybody. He paid us.
Oh, it's true. You know it is. I'm always calling in and trying to get pants to different people because I'm a believer,
Mhm.
and I'd rather give LIVSN pants than so many other things to people. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got just a few minutes left in here. So if anybody has any last questions, please drop them in the chat now. Um, do y'all have anything else you want to add, or I've got another couple of questions if not.
Go ahead and shoot.
All right. So one of our questions is, how is the current fundraising round going?
Cool. Good question. So we're laser focused until the end of this round on closing out the WeFunder. I mean, the WeFunder side of this raise. And so we're not really looking up necessarily from that until we feel like we've expressed our value to our community and given everybody a shot to come in here and own a piece of LIVSN. So you own a real piece of LIVSN, you can also own a piece of the company. So our goals are there right now. That being said, we have started having conversations outside from people like Ramsay and different entities around outdoor industry in our local region, and we have found more support than anticipated and more upside and interest in investing in LIVSN than maybe we anticipated going out to market at this point. So I would say good early signals, strong early meetings, lots of conversations developing much faster than anticipated on interest in investing at this point, but still very early. And like I said, our first goal is to make sure we close out WeFunder very well.
I will share um, that LIVSN got what Company of the Year in your category
Yeah.
in Arkansas, and so that's very strong. Okay, and um, describe that a little bit, Andrew. I mean, I didn't get to go to the event, but
Yeah, that was really fun. And we won Arkansas Business of the Year for all businesses under 30 employees for the state. And it was kind of fun. It was kind of like a mini little Oscars event, right? They went up on stage, very dramatic, played music, and said, "The winner is," and we won. So we went up and uh, got that honor bestowed on us. And I think what that does and what that told me is that our reputation is solid.
mhm.
Um, it's a reflection also of the work that we put into our local community. That
Mhm.
award was not given just on revenue growth; it was on community involvement, how transparent you are, how much of an impact you have on your local area, and we scored highly across those areas, which tells us that we're doing something right, and we're
Mhm.
getting recognition for it, and we got a neat trophy to put in our store.
Yeah, it's really validation of what you're doing, quite frankly. And so it's another thing from an investment standpoint to take a look at on top of everything else. Okay. It's like the icing on the cake for me. And it's congratulations on that award. Hmm.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, that is just about time. So thank you to everyone for joining. We're recording this, so we will get that posted. And I think that about does it.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody. If there were questions that came up that you thought of or you think of later, or if you're watching this on a recording and you say, man, no one asked him the hard thing, right? Like, I want that meat, send that to us. I'll reply to you one on one. And if it's something that I feel like everybody needs to know, I'll put that into an update as a Q&A update before the campaign closes.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank y'all. And thanks, Ramsey, for joining us. Of
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
course. See y'all.